Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and those of you in between. Welcome back to another episode of the Conspiracy Keepers. My name is Backlash LaRue. I'm joined with Scooter McGee, Joe Monaco, and Deluxe, or should we change your name?
Are we changing my name on the screen again? Let's do. Go ahead and put it to
Deluxe. Make sure we keep your ability to work within the state.
It's funny. I'll come up with a different one each time we're on if you want.
We can do that. Gentlemen and lady, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. I got to tell you, after our last conversation, when you were talking about the numbers 11, I'm thinking about 11, 22, 22 is going to be this next year on the anniversary of Kennedy's assassination, or as you succinctly put it, his ritual killing. Mm-hmm. But we were talking off the air prior to coming on. We were talking about the current weather conditions that we've got here in Colorado, and we brought up the subject of cloud seeding, and then it turned into the chemtrails. And that is, just so everybody knows, that's kind of where they got me hooked back in 2005, since I do fly. And they had me looking up more at the sky, which drives me absolutely crazy. Because day to day, I'll look up and go, "Oh, look, they're doing it again today."
Yeah,
thank you.
That's right. Exactly.
That's me. I take.
I know.
I'm like, or I'll say to somebody in general conversation, and my sister shakes her head, but I'm like, "Look, they're poisoning us today. Look, they're trying to kill us today," and I mean crisscross, all the way across the sky.
Right. Those little tic-tac-toe patterns or X patterns, those are not natural flight patterns. And yeah, I've done the same thing, Jackie. I mean, I have taken people outside when I'm at the gym saying, "Do you see that? Look up in the sky." Because people say, "Oh, no, I don't see." Do you see that? You see what they're doing? It is so obvious. I just don't know how people can miss it.
Well, I don't know why we're not talking. Why can't we talk
I
about
know.
it? Because, they've been doing weather mod for, 100 years, 100 or more years, ever since there's flight, even little rockets, they wanted to, send something up there to seed the clouds. But guess what it's doing now? It's not seeding the clouds.
I know. And what's funny is I have one of, he used to be in TV. He used to do sports in Denver. I probably shouldn't say his name. He probably wouldn't care. But anyway, you guys will all know who he is if I told you who he was. But anyway, he goes to my gym. And he was the only one ever in the mainstream media that I have ever heard mention chemtrails on TV, definitely locally, and nationally. I've heard it very little, if at all. But anyway, I went up to him one time. I said, "Ron," I said his name. Sorry.
I knew it. I knew who it was. I knew it. Yay.
I knew it right then too.
Sorry about it. Did I say his name? Sorry about that. Anyway, I said, "You're the only one that I've ever known who has ever brought that concept up on TV." And you know what he told me? He says, "You know what? That's just one of those things we can't talk about." So that's really where it is. There's just kind of a moratorium on this kind of stuff, and people know, we can't talk about that.
Well, and Scooter brought it up. There is definitely cloud seeding, but then there is definitely the chemtrails, which, Scooter, if you want to tell everybody about chemtrails.
No. We're not going to throw this on me.
Oh.
In that we were having a discussion before we started this, and I said, "Hey, Backlash, poll, just double check," because we all, whether we're going to admit or not, I admit I'm the dumbest one on the poll. And my dyslexia, sometimes I juxtapose numbers. We were talking about Brittany last week, and I had a couple of them right, and I had a couple of them wrong. So it was, hey, just as recent as the last 24 hours, Denver local media ran in primetime news a story about cloud seeding. And then it was, what? And I said, well, they were using these numbers. So Backlash, did you find that story?
It was on November 11th. That they're trying to make up for lost snowpack in an effort to offset the decrease in stream flows in recent years. You can definitely Google it, and it'll definitely start talking about it. And then they had another gain steam as the West worsens, November 21st.
Google KDVR 222 days, because that was the push of the story last night on the TV side, as today is November 30th, 2021. My point is, Jackie, you're exactly right. We have so you walk outside, they're doing this today, but all these kids are doing this on their phones. And the other comment about the individual whose name shouldn't be mentioned would also be, don't, wish somebody luck tomorrow in the election. Wink, wink. So I had a station manager, a programming director, and an owner all in the same building. A monthly staff meeting, driving to work, and Joe, they're already starting the pattern. We take a break, and I have to be outside because I have to have my Cokes and smokes. And the programming director walked out, and I refer to all of them as boss. Hey, boss, look at this. What are you talking? Come on, boss. Hey, so-and-so, come here. Look, now I've got all three of them standing outside looking. What is that? And they immediately want, well, what is it, Scooter? I go, no. You tell me. Now we have to go back in. We've had our break. Another 45 minutes to about 50 minutes or so goes by. The meeting breaks up. Guys, come here. Outside. The entire sky. What is that? I don't know. Now, I do know. I don't know what's in the air that day. But I know that this is not jet traffic. I know this isn't exhaust. And what we've just watched is a beautiful day go to a complete omnipresent gray in a matter of 3 hours.
They you want me to jump in?
And they still think I'm
sure.
And they still think I'm nuts. But yeah, Jackie, please do. That's why I said having me explain chemtrails is.
I'll just add a couple things. In my couple of years of unintentionally being unemployed and looking for jobs, I did find a little company up in, it's Montana, at a small airport. They own the airport, and they are a company that sells the aerosol product, right? They'll install it either in your plane. They were looking for a customer service agent. So all I do customer service, on one of those searches, any state in the Western United States, right? And it comes up. I'm like, well, let's look at this little company. And so they'll sell the aerosol itself in the tubs, or they will outfit your plane, retrofit your plane, or you can hire their plane and their pilot to go over, or they also make a stationary unit. Now, this is designed and sold as making rain for your crops.
Right.
Now let's assume that is indeed what they do. Okay. If they can do that for your big crops in Montana or Utah or wherever else, now why do we think that technology doesn't exist to give us more rain where we need it as a country or, regions or whatever? Because, they don't want, it's all based in commerce. They don't want certain areas to have rain.
That's right. Absolutely.
Because this is all about moving. This is all tied to transportation. It's tied to so many things. Now, those little crystals and the big planes that we see now, I'm out here, closer to California, and out of Edwards Air Force Base, I see them coming up. Now, those are retrofitted C-130s. And they have like those big aerosol things, that's like spraying the stuff all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, go ahead. You're holding your hand up.
Or is it?
Well, you got me tangented with the planes, Jackie, from Nellis in Las Vegas. So you need to go. You still need to go to the Janet terminal. You need to pack a lunch, take the dog out for a walk, and spend 2 hours at the Janet terminal on the other side of the parking lot that's to the public. but the spraying and
Oops, did we lose him?
no, I'm wanting to make sure
Oh.
and backlash stand by on which Soviet premier said this. And I'm not a Trump agent and I'm not a QAnon freak or any of that. But during the Cold War, end of World War II till, modern times, what we knew as the Cold War, weather modification was thought to be used as a possible weapon.
Right. Even before. Yes.
And how do we know this? Well, because they signed treaties that they couldn't do it. That we'd have rules about it, like bioweapons. But I believe it was Khrushchev in the 50s when talking about weather manipulation. They don't modify the weather. The Soviets could control the weather. So backlash, if you want to confirm that or no, or you made it up because it came from the 4chan blog. But I believe it was Khrushchev who said, not modify, but they can control the weather.
Yeah, they perfected it. The Russians actually did. As a matter of fact, a lot of the hurricanes are manipulated and guided and steered. And if you look at a lot of the names for some of these hurricanes, you'll notice they're Russian names.
As we did the Katrina show.
Ivan, Igor, even Katrina. The first reports was they had named it Katerina, and then they came out with Katrina, but it was Katerina at first. So yeah, these people, they hide in plain sight. They actually let you know what's going on for people that are awake and want to pay attention to what's going on. Yeah, absolutely.
I just can't understand, for the love of mankind, why people won't look up. I mean,
I don't know.
They're still telling, people are still trying to tell me, like one of my brothers, he goes, no, that is condensation after an airplane takes off. I'll go, I live by an international airport. I watch the planes. I can hear the planes. Not one of them is leaving behind a trail.
Right. Yeah, and ice crystals are a real contrail doesn't stay in the air that long.
No.
These things are in the air all day or hours and make the sky completely overcast. That's not how ice crystals work.
No, this is
As a matter of fact, they've done studies on that. They've actually taken studies from these chemtrails and they've analyzed them chemically and they found that they contain aluminum and barium and other substances, but those are the main ones. I mean, we know what they're spraying on us. We know what they're doing, but people just don't want to see it.
And lithium.
Yes, exactly.
That's to kill our motivation in doing anything. Now, people are going to think I'm crazy, but sometimes if I have just freshly washed my hair and I'm taking I walk the dog 3 times a day. I'm out there looking at the sky. I don't take my phone with me. It's me and the dog, right? And we go places, go to the mountains, go to the desert, go to this, that, and the other. So anyways, if I freshly washed my hair and I see a lot of them in the sky, I come home and I can smell it on my clothes and in my hair. I'm like, why does my hair smell like, rocket fuel?
Right. And the same thing with me. I see it on my car. If I wash it the same day that they're doing this, it's like this sticky stuff that it's hard to get off. Oh yeah, absolutely. They're doing it. And one thing I've noticed too is, especially when they're doing that real intense spraying, I know people are getting sick like the next day. They get upper respiratory problems and all kinds of problems. Yes, I can see it. People are going to be sick in the next couple of days. And sure enough, it happens all the time when they do that spraying that makes the skies completely overcast. And it's consistent.
Yeah. And me, I'm like, oh, my hair's going to stink. Why'd I even bother?
And what's funny is like people, I see this on Facebook all the time, where especially people that like to take pictures because they take pictures of these beautiful sunsets that are red. They don't understand that's chemtrails and that's not a natural sunset. They look at how beautiful the sky is. That's okay. It might be, but those are chemicals that are being lit up. That's why it looks like that. That's not a natural sunset.
And I notice in people, through the vacation season, people posting pictures on Facebook and stuff of their vacation. I'm like, wow, look at that nice chemtrail.
I know, exactly. And they're gradually trying to get us used to them. I see them on postage stamps, with the chemtrails in the background. And I see this on the Golf Channel all the time when they're doing stuff there, the sky and the horizon of the golf course. You can see the chemtrails. And one time when they're like doing the color commentary, there's a sky behind the guy with nothing but chemtrails. I mean, this is done intentionally. They're trying to get you used to them to where you don't even question them anymore.
That's pretty scary. The normal
I know. I know.
a lot of things right now. It's the same with the, I'm sorry, it's the same with the face masks.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
It's not normal to be walking around with a face and nobody says anything like, God, I'm tired of wearing these. I'm the only one who says, God, I'm tired of wearing these.
Yeah, I know. And that's symbolic as well, because these people that are behind this are all occultists. They're all into the occult and rituals and all that kind of stuff like we've talked about before. And those face masks, slaves wore face masks. They do it in the occult a lot. It's symbolic that you don't have a voice. Shut up, you can't talk. You don't have a say in this. So that's symbolic too. They're getting us used to cover your face. Can't say a darn thing. As a matter of fact, it's to dehumanize you, to where you can't tell what people look at. You can't tell if they're smiling or frowning or whatever. It's all a big mind control apparatus. It has nothing to do with a V. We can't use the word because they'll demonetize us. You know, the V. And we'll call the other thing that they say is going to stop the V, the jab. We can use jab, but we can't say the other word or else they'll shut us down.
Biden's statements in the last 36 hours have been very telling and overshadowing of what's to come now, in that we don't want to have travel restrictions. We don't want to have more lockdowns. We just need you all to get X and Y so we don't have to. And they're priming the pump to jank. They're saying they're not, so that they can divert and go, take the flack and get through it like they do everything else. We're being steamrolled. And in that same 36-hour window, genuflect when you say Dr. Fauci, because he said he's the science. He's now wanting to not only be the highest paid federal official, he now wants to be a deity. That's my opinion.
Well, some people treat him that way. Has anybody any time with the new RFK Jr. book?
You know, I haven't read that yet, but I've been keeping in touch with RFK Jr. for a long time. Man, the guy is amazing. I would love to read that book. Absolutely. Have you read it?
No, I haven't purchased it.
Okay.
Guys, I'm knee deep in books over here. Starting this thing, starting that thing, and then I get to watching this and watching that. Oh heck, it's hard to concentrate on just one book.
Well, I think RFK Jr., he's, as far as I can tell, he's one of the only ones in the public eye, and they kind of keep him off TV if you've noticed, because he's the only one that's really telling us the truth. Now, I think why he's doing that is because he had his father murdered by the globalists. He's had his uncle, JFK, murdered by his globalists. So he knows who these people are. He would be well aware of how this world system works and what's going on. And he's not going along with the program because he has seen what these people will do. And a lot of his family members have been murdered by these people. So he's out there telling the truth. Hey, guys, this is what's going on. So yeah, I think he's fantastic.
I want to
read it, Scooter.
I want to read the book. I was going to say I'll get the audio book, but hopefully he won't be reading it because he's really hard to listen to for an hour.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. I know he is. He is. I feel bad for him that he can't articulate it like he should because he's got the problems with his vocal cords. So yeah, I hear you. I understand that.
For those of you watching, I can see Scooter's hamsters running in the wheel.
I know you're being very quiet on today's show.
Well, okay, so the RFK book, no, I have not read either, and really, I have no excuse. I should have by now. So I'll be up to speed on it by the next time we do this. But, Joe, you were quick to say, because in that environment, he knows. And that, okay, I was not in an environment like that, but I was in a different environment of secrets, and as kids we didn't know. There was deliberate shielding in that the older generations had, okay, well we don't talk at all, and so perhaps so shielded as a child, you still have the problems as now I get to deal with my nephew. once out of the hands of kids, now you put them into prep schools. And you can only control a kid in a prep school so long because they get their hands on one of these now and they can start looking stuff up that might not fit within the family narrative at the family Sunday dinner table. And then whatever can happen. So Backlash, you said my hamsters were running. When Joe, you said, oh, he knows. What evidence do we have that he knows and is wanting to speak out? Or is this, again, another one who's broken free and is doing their own and wanting to speak out? That was my thought on that.
Well, he's always known. He was standing right there.
Yeah.
He was standing right there when his dad was shot.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, he knows. Yeah, he knows what's
which
going on.
direction the friggin' bullet came from, and I don't mean JFK. I mean RFK.
Right, RFK. Right. As a matter of fact, they were both murdered by the same factions, and they're both. I mean, those murders are linked, and the same thing with MLK too. Those murders are all linked. There's patterns to all this stuff. So, well, I think the Kennedys are a very interesting family because they're an Illuminati family. Joe Kennedy, the father, was basically a mobster. He was involved in fixing the stock market, illegal bootlegging, and all kinds of stuff. So he was kind of one of those amoral people. But his sons, for some reason, kind of bucked the trend. They kind of didn't go along with that. I mean, that's one reason why JFK was murdered, because he was going to get us off the Federal Reserve System and print United States notes. He was going to fracture the CIA. He was going to stop the Vietnam War, all that stuff that was not popular with the globalists. So I've always wondered, why did he do that? Because he had everything to lose and nothing to gain by this, because these very powerful people aren't going to like that. And that's not normal for politicians to be on our side. And the same thing with RFK.
Could it be something as simple as a son pissed off at his father?
Maybe, but whatever he was doing was biting the hand that feeds him. And we've never seen another politician challenge the Federal Reserve again after that, because they put the message out there. Hey, we're in control here. We control the money. And if you control the money, you control the world system. So yeah, so that's a very interesting family, because they seem to be split. Some are Illuminati and have gone on to do what the globalists want, and some are against it and have decided to not go along with it, and it's gotten them killed. So yeah, that's been a very intriguing family. They're really hard to figure out what's going on inside.
Yeah, I have no idea what they talk about around the dinner table.
Yes, right, exactly.
When they were growing up. I mean, when Bobby Kennedy's, after his dad was killed, I have no idea what they talked about.
Right.
At the dinner table, and how his wife handled it. I mean, for crying out loud.
Right.
But I do know that he's criticized publicly by his members of his own family.
Right.
He
is.
Niece and God, one or two others that are in politics have come out against him, to try to hurt his credibility. But he's had the Child Defense Fund for a really long time. And I mean, he's been working for the environment and things like that for decades. I interviewed him. Can I name drop? I interviewed him.
Absolutely. Wow.
In 1993.
That's great.
Yeah, he was in town for a water rights thing, and I was working at a station. We were full service, so they're like, "Here, take the tape recorder. You're going." I'm like, "Heck yeah, I'm going." His voice was
the audio.
He's had work done to help his voice. Back then, it was just wow, so hard to follow.
Well, that's interesting. Wow.
I don't have the audio. Isn't that a shame?
Wow, what a great what a great interview. Yeah, I mean, he's really very, very much so been outspoken, and that's why the media has kind of like buried him. You don't see him on TV very often, but he's out there, he's talking, and I think they even took him off Instagram for a while.
Been off everything in the last year.
Yeah, he's been off everything. Yeah, okay.
Everybody got kicked off of everything. With the green info movement, and
right.
James Corbett is completely kicked off. I mean, who isn't? The only person is dark journalist. I don't know, but yeah, he got kicked off, and they don't want to hear about it. They don't want him on spreading what they call disinformation. And isn't that the saddest, weirdest thing? But I guess that's what's supposed to happen at this point in history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you'll notice the fact checkers didn't show up until the truth started getting out. And then all of a sudden we need fact checkers now. And what's funny is the misinformation is coming from the mainstream media. It's people like us that are telling the truth, and they have just categorized us as misinformation. No, it's not us. We're trying to get the truth out. Misinformation is coming from.
Change now has taken place in the world of Twitter with Jack Dorsey stepping down and a new tyrant in charge of Twitter. So it is going to be interesting to see what social media allows. As you point out, many are now being deplatformed, can't speak. Well, you have the right to talk. Nobody's going to be able to listen to you. Nobody's going to hear you. Will shadow ban you or just simply ban you from the platform altogether, which still begs my question from last week. How much longer can the internet stay on? And before we leave today, Backlash, do we dare bring Jackie into the Deadpool for 2022?
Well, we're getting close to running it. So yes, I'd love to take more money. I mean, I think you still owe me for Zsa Zsa Gabor. So
that was a while ago, wasn't it?
Well, they took her a little bit at a time. So.
And Scooter's out of the shop.
Have your Zsa Zsa money right here.
Good. Keep hold of that. Getting interest.
So, still any thoughts now? Because Jack Dorsey's stepping down from Twitter, but even a more ugly head is rearing its head. But does social media stay on for, the immediate future? And your thoughts on any of that, on the Twitter movement? Because Twitter's one, but we're going to see YouTube. We saw the headline of Disney because of Hong Kong and the Simpsons banning the episode of them going to China. Yada, yada, yada.
What, they're wiping episodes of The Simpsons now? Excuse me.
Well, yeah, The Simpsons. Well, I think what they're going to do, I don't think they're going to shut down they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. They're just going to ban people. The algorithms are, if you use any kind of terms, they're just going to ban, they're just going to kick you off. I had a Facebook page attached to my website, and I had a ton of subscribers, probably pretty close to 10,000. And then one day they just took it off. No, can't use this anymore. Just took it off.
Oh.
So they'll just keep doing that. They'll just keep censoring us. I don't think anything's going to change with the internet, because the internet is useful for them, because it's one thing that binds the whole world together, which is what they want. They're globalists. They want a one world government, one world monetary system, one world police force, etc. So the internet is one thing that binds everybody together, which is what they want, but they don't want people like us on it. So they'll just continue to censor us, but the internet will always be there. It's invaluable to them. Scooter?
What?
Thoughts?
I still think they're going to create some event that requires a very abundance of caution, systemic lockdown of the internet due to misinformation. Having a bipartisan.
That's crazy to think of, isn't it?
And here's the crap in Denver. We got a Denver reporter who's proud to be a part of the bipartisan symposium about disinformation. Have you looked at your Twitter feed for the last 2 years? And we're gonna root out disinformation. Then turn your channel off.
Who is it?
Kyle Clark.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, now that's interesting.
Yeah, isn't it? That's cool. Just proud to be a member of the broadcasting community.
Kyle Clark.
Okay. All right.
Because he's in the number one slot on the number one local.
Well, let's just take a look at some of his bipartisan coverage of the last 2 years. And it's just really. And don't believe me, look it up. And they sit there and they just, how do you tweet while you pat yourself on the back? You're going to have to go see a doctor about that.
Oh,
Well, oh my goodness.
Well,
And let's
thankfully,
make
I don't
sure we
belong
lock
to it.
down the schools. Keep the kids in masks and in schools because we don't want to talk about the gang problem going on outside the schools down in Aurora. No, 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 no.
Well, how much, hey, Backlash, how much time we got? I want to talk about something that we might not have enough time for.
I think we've got it's going to let me know.
Okay.
It's 10 to 4. We probably got another 10, 15 minutes.
Okay. Okay, good.
good joke.
I wanted to talk about how so many people are fooled. How so many people can have no problem with what's going on right now, even if you haven't done research into what's going on. Something in your soul, in your spirit, should say something's terribly wrong with this. And it just doesn't seem like there's enough people that are to that point. It seems like it makes sense to people. Go along with it, comply, wear a mask. Yeah, it'll keep us safe. Yeah, don't hug your family. It might kill them. I mean, how can people go along with this? And I want to talk about something we had talked about a little bit earlier, is what a spell is and what spell casting is. Let me put it what it's not. It's not about somebody turning a person into a frog, okay? We're talking about hypnosis on a large scale. Now, stage hypnotists can do this. We've seen it on TV. People bark like dogs and jump around like monkeys because they're under a spell. All these people do is they want to lower your critical thinking and higher your suggestibility, okay? That's what hypnosis is. So they're doing it on a mass scale. They're just like lowered people's critical thinking, and their susceptibility or suggestibility has gone way up so they can put thoughts into your head through repetition, time and time and time again, because your brain doesn't work on logic naturally. It works on pattern recognition. Oh, I've seen this pattern before. This must be true. So that's how they've got so many people sucked into this, by casting a spell, repetition, over and over again. Wear your mask. You hear it in the grocery store. You see it on TV. You see it on sporting events. And when your mind says, well, if I see it in that many different places, it must be true. Not realizing that the people up at the top are a very small group of people that control all this stuff. They control the supermarket, they control the commercials, the sporting events, the politicians. They're all sending the same message because they're all controlled by the same people. So that's why we're in the situation we're in now. It's a form of hypnosis. It's a form of spell casting, as people have been doing it for centuries. So they're experts at it. They're experts on how the human mind works.
They defend it to the point, Joe, where just recently over Thanksgiving holiday, Joe Biden wearing the mask, walking in public alone, getting up to the crowd and taking it off. Then the appearance at the White House with no mask and walking back. And instead of questioning the narrative, they double down with, oh, we'll just finger point that, the minutia. Like somebody says, hey, XYZ, how do you know that? Well, XYZ, who told you that? XYZ. Well, unless you tell me who, I'm not going to believe XYZ's right here. You're looking at XYZ. I'm pointing to you. You see it, but you somehow need further validation. And because you don't get the validation you need, you poo-poo XYZ right there at your face. And a third party pointing XYZ, validating someone else told him XYZ. And we haven't even talked the devices we're on, the flicker rates and all the things, the TV and the use of colors and subliminal and
it's all linked.
And back masking and all of that.
Back in the day, there was a fellow who was a philosopher and a instructor in the Canadian upper education system. Anyway, his name is Marshall Mcluhan. Have you guys ever read his books?
No, I have not.
And
Conspietti was a big fan, turned me on to him.
Yeah, he has a YouTube channel. You know, somebody has put, whether it's his family or whoever, has put up his old lectures and TV appearances and stuff. And he talks about how TV was poisoning people. It's programming. He pointed out in 1958 or something. And so I don't know why we've forgotten about it. I studied hip at school because I took this class about the psychology of TV. My sister didn't take it. She goes, I don't remember that. But she took a few different classes. But anyway, so I've always known about that. And everybody knows it's called programming. It's
Yes.
a
For a
program.
reason.
Right.
It is. And the reason I think now 2 years into this, you guys, and the masking and the going along with the new, is watching the programming, but also people don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be wrong. Nobody, some of my friends specifically, just putting it back on me because we're always talking about me, is that just my experience is all I can share. But they, they're like, no, how could Fauci be wrong 2 years going?
Yeah.
How could he be wrong 2 years running? And it's like, but he is.
Yeah. Right. He's a paid shill. I mean, he's being paid to say what he's saying up there. I mean, that's the whole point of that. Yeah.
To ignore the crimes that he's, perpetrated in the course of saving his job. Reagan wanted to get rid of the CDC. He goes, we don't have any more diseases. We're going to save that position, and he'll do anything. People will do anything. And that's a vibration, I feel like. That's, people who have to control and who have to win and all that. That's a vibration that they talk about this a lot in the alpha, beta, and gamma, parts of your brain. And when you watch TV, you're going to predict what the guy's going to say. It's about prediction. Your mind likes that. But it also puts it on a track of, you get a little stress out of it,
Yeah.
Well, tonight we're going to watch and see how many cases there are and what the new variant is. What is that? How do you pronounce that, by the way? I say Omicron. What is it? Moroncron?
Yeah, moronic. It's an anagram. The letters have been rearranged from moronic. And then that's exactly what it is. See, that's the way these people work. They have like this distorted sense of humor. They love doing stuff like this. They love messing with us because they know nobody's going to pick up on this. And what is it? Delta. Isn't a delta state mean you're asleep? Isn't that like your alpha, beta, delta? Delta means you're not awake. Isn't that what that means? Delta.
Go ahead, Scooter. Look at him.
So that's what delta. That's why they named the first variant Delta, because it means you're asleep. It's like they're asleep. That's the statement Delta. They're not going to get it. And now we've got moronic, and it's like these people behind the scenes are doing this, and nobody gets it because they've been programmed.
Go, Scooter. You've been patient.
Right out of Orwell's 1984, and the alphas and the betas and the deltas then would be the epsilons. But we're going upon this new language. Okay, well, the next variant, I'm sorry, was going to be XI. If we're really playing you talk about Delta being asleep, they couldn't make it epsilon. That's fine.
I thought it was going to be epsilon.
You're just that stupid. We've still got people who still don't believe this. Again, the Groundhog Day meme. Oh, we got another variant. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Yeah, welcome to Why? Because 6 weeks out, we need in mid-January a reason to do what we have to do. However, because of our upstanding relationship with the Christian members of the business community of the Chinese Council, we can't call it the Xi variant, XI, because that's the name of the premier of the country where this may or may not come from. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So, and my dyslexia, they want to call it Omicron, Omicron. My dyslexia sees an N, Omnicron. Omicron is the wrong pronunciation, but people are using it.
Moroncron.
Yeah.
However, when I saw Omicron, oh no, I saw moronic before I saw. I first saw, dyslexia. I saw the word moronic in the jumble, but I did those as a kid in the St. Paul paper down at the athletic club waiting to get picked up by dad in the car. And I was good at the jumble because they didn't have the real word. You had to make the word or find the word in the letters. So words jump out at me when I see that. And Omicron is just flipping a couple of letters
Yeah.
in the Scrabble board where you held your tiles. And people are like, oh, that's just, if you think that's a coincidence, here,
What does it
you
mean?
can,
I don't get it.
well, first of all, they said that they were going to use the letterings of variants based upon what alphabet? Okay, well, then based upon your previous narrative, which was your previous lie, this is what the next variant should be. Okay, so now you're just making stuff up. But, okay, and removing that, all of the experts, we've identified, we can't call it the Botswana variant because that's clearly racist. What? Didn't it originate out of Botswana?
That's, yeah, allegedly. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Just like
know.
Wuhan. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, again, we're going to argue on how to pronounce it. It's deadly. It's scary. No need to panic. When the White House says no need to panic, okay, fair enough.
Is he even in the White House? I only see him going in the side door. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. No, I hear you. Right. Yeah. So Scooter, so your brain, in a sense, translates things that people aren't supposed to see normally, like backwards. You know, these people I've talked about before, they're only the cult, and they do the law of reversal. They do things backwards, sideways. They do things, they hide things like that. So your brain sees it naturally, and most people do not, because their brain doesn't work that way.
The original post I retweeted in the Daily Mail headline, in the way I scroll, I just, what do you mean moronic variant? Oh, and how do you spell? Oh, and I spelled it wrong. Why? Because that M, my brain saw the old Omni magazine, OMNI. And it's just,
Well, doesn't
it's
Omni mean
embarrassing.
everywhere? What's the root of what does Omni mean? Who's looking it up?
I'm not. That's interesting. That would make. Yeah. What does that mean? I'm not really sure about that. That's
I
interesting.
believe Omni in the sense of present, ever present, or
okay.
all present.
Right, like omniscient or omnipotent, omni. Yeah. Okay. All right. But once again, it's the repetition. That's the main thing that our brain, that will fool our brain, is repetition. And you notice anytime they want to program somebody, it's always through that concept of repeating things. If you notice the soldiers, and no matter what branch of the military you're in, marching is very repetitive. So when you're in that marching state, you're in a highly suggestible state to what they want you to do. Speaking in rhymes is another thing that kind of manipulates your brain into being suggestible. I remember Muhammad Ali, when he used to fight, he used to psych out his opponents before they even got in the ring. Notice what he did. He spoke in rhymes. Mm-hmm. He understood it, whether he knew it or not. That messed with their head, because that gets you manipulated. That makes you suggestible when you see things over and over again, patterns over and over again, speaking in rhymes. That's why music is so powerful, because of that 8-15 bar repetitive, and they rhyme. People listening to music are very highly suggestible in that state.
Yeah, the predictability. When you listen to, common radio, you know what I mean? Classic rock, you can predict what the next note is.
Yes, right.
Brainwave in a certain place. I should go like brainwave in a certain place. But omni means all or universal.
Okay, right. Okay, that would make sense.
You're all going to get it. That's why it's called that. You're all going to get it.
Right.
So
right.
I'm just waiting for the Omega variant, where Charlton Heston comes out and just pulls his hand down, and then we have the gorillas fighting against whatever's left. Because this is so ridiculous now. The constant keep them afraid, keep them deliberately uninformed. Put these experts on the Sunday show and all have them say a variant of each other so we can report on it in a vacuum and keep the machine running. And that is to generate the most number of clicks based upon the last hour of usage by the Bababas.
Okay. Omni or Omega is the extreme or final part.
Mm,
So the Omega
okay.
is going to be the big daddy, huh? The final
And
one.
beneath,
You got to get your shot.
beneath
Right.
the Planet of the Apes, find the Alpha Omega bomb, and
Uh-huh.
that's what General Urkel wants. He wants the bomb. No, don't you remember this where they blow up the Earth, and then it's the great John Huston at the end. And once the Earth is now burned up cinder, it's all gone. But meanwhile, in the reboot, the chimpanzees who, thank God, keep their clothes on during sex, they were able to get the rocket out of which was the forbidden zone in the Dead Sea, yank it out, get it fixed, fill it with rocket fuel, and take off right before Heston blew the thing up, only to come back in time so that we could have, instead of Einstein's theory, we could have Haslein's theory. So on that, I have to go back to the hospital.
Okay.
Okay.
Get a booster shot.
Oh my gosh. Endless shots, endless boosters. This, I tell you what, this is going to keep going on as long as people put up with it. Because if you think back on it, what was the first thing is that we were predicting even before it happened? They're going to try to get everybody to take a vaccine. Okay, and people are saying, oh no, you can, conspiracy theorists. No, they're not going to do that. Well,
just
they do.
Put your vaccine passport
This-
right
this
here
is-
under your skin.
This is what they did, was they made us take. So at first it was one shot, right? And then all of a sudden, no, I think you need 2 shots. And then it's like, no, now you're going to need a booster. And they're going to keep doing this. There's going to always come up with some kind of variant. As long as people are going to keep taking these shots, they're going to try to do it to where they can get you to take a shot once a month. I'm convinced that they're going to try to do that, unless people start waking up and saying, wait a minute, I'm not safe at all.
Yeah,
This
I
isn't
know
helping.
You had the third one, you know, I've had
Yeah.
proudly they display, I've had my booster, and it was a big round kind of red looking spot, like if you got bit by a stung by
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it hurt? Well, a little. And people are reporting on social media, yep, it's working, because I got sick for a few days. It's working.
Right. Yes. I've heard that. I've seen, yes, we've seen the exact same thing and said, yeah,
What
that means my
does that
immune.
mean?
I know. I don't get it either. What it means is your body is being poisoned and it's rejecting is what it really means. But they're thinking is, oh, they told us it means my immune system is kicking in. I'm going, what? And that makes sense to you?
No, but it's not, it doesn't have a, anyway.
I know. But once again, people have been programmed. They are literally under a spell. That's why their critical thinking has been shut off. I want to say like just kind of like put down, but no, it's been shut off to where they cannot think logically anymore. It's all based on emotion and fear.
I gotta get out my sprays, and you guys want a spray of this and silvercillin?
Hey,
Use that for anything.
Backlash. Where's Backlash?
Oh my gosh.
We're up against the time. Okay,
Anybody have
we're
a-
up against that time for your meeting, and I didn't know if your client came in early.
No, it's a Zoom call.
Okay.
You mean one of us has a real job of the 3?
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know.
I've just been sitting here quietly sucking my thumb listening to you 3. No, I'm just, I don't believe, has any of you had COVID?
No, I haven't.
I wasn't tested, but I was sick I was sick in August, but I usually get bronchitis and all that stuff at least once a year. So
That's what I thought I was getting, but I did contract COVID. I have had my boosters or my 2 shots already. And I've got a friend who messaged me on Facebook and was like, so why aren't you just pissed as hell and telling everybody it didn't work because of this? I also get a flu shot once a year because I used to get the flu every year, just sick as a dog. And ever since I've gotten the flu, it's been very minor. And thankfully, I mean, I do have a couple people that I know that have gotten COVID. I know 2 people that have passed because of COVID. Yes, they had one gentleman had way underlying issues that helped contribute to it. But with mine, I didn't have body aches, but I lost my taste and smell for a week. I felt like I had mono. And then I had a searing headache. It felt like somebody was actually stabbing me in the forehead with a ice pick that didn't stop for 3 days, no matter what I took from it.
bummer.
And so, I basically told him I did it because I felt, the lesser of two evils of if I did get it, then it wasn't as bad. Because I, unlike the radio hosts that are on here, being a pilot, I am flying within the public, but I'm also doing a lot of events through my other job where I do run into a ton of people. And I do remember one extremely drunk person that was literally in my face all night long that I'm sure is where I got it from. But yeah, it was horrendous. So, and I am going for my booster, just so everybody knows. And I'll tell you how great I feel after that, or if I finally get around to having, thirst for human blood, I'll let you know if that comes up as well. So I am the guinea pig on that side, just so you know.
Yeah, well, it's good to have another viewpoint of the whole thing. Somebody that has gone through the shots and all that kind of stuff. So,
but I do agree with the Omni being the end all be all. This could be, I'm looking forward
each time they've overreached in the public, wherever in the world has seen the overreach, they haven't stepped back. They've doubled down. And so now, whether it's the use of the Roman language, the Greek language, the Latin language, the English language, when you see the, and it was Red Thunder. Scooter, choose your words, paint the picture, think about it, think about what you're seeing, and then to give that pause to think. And very struggling with disabilities of reading, but then learning to overcome. Okay, there's humor here. No, actually, that's not funny. That's in your face. And this overwhelming need people have now to defend the lie. And when we were talking earlier today about chemtrails, it was Coors Field. And you got 55,135 idiots in there. You're standing in center field and you can see it all. And they're all completely transfixed on something else. And this is going on right above you and to the west, to the Rockies, because it's a day game and it's not sunset. You're not paying attention. And then there's that beautiful Colorado Rocky Mountain orange sun. And it was even back then, and that's pre-All-Star game. That was first year Coors Field. And I felt hopeless then. Your friends think you're an idiot trying to talk about what is that? Because when we were kids, you'd get sent to your room in the afternoon in the summer for doing something bad and go to your room for an hour and you'd stare out the window and you'd watch the planes. And they'd leave little streaks across them. And now that we're adults, they leave streaks across the entire sky. It begs the question, what is that? And instead of people, oh, that's this or this, they immediately, what are you, one of those conspiracy nuts? I'm asking, what is that?
I am sitting here in shock. You guys have shocked me 2 times in a row now. I'm in absolute, complete and utter shock that, what are we calling you? Backlash. You literally don't listen to these shows. You just do the technical?
Oh, I listen to the shows and I keep an open mind. It's just, I also listen to my wife. So I'm not going to sit there and say I'm not going to do certain things. Just
what? Why?
Well, because there's some, I've got family in New Zealand. I've got family all over the place where, I'm hearing some stories from them about how bad it is, not just from our own little world. So
how bad what is?
How bad this virus has been.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Here's the thing.
I'm not saying that you don't get sick. Yeah. Never said that. I get it. People get sick. They do. And some people die. And the protocols within the hospital because of this, I could curl your hair, but I'm really shocked. And I don't know. You're allowed to think what you want, and I honor your decision to think the way you are. I just didn't know you would be hosting this show and have that opinion.
Well, and I think that was part of the other shock, or not the shock on it, is these two for years. I've always been a skeptic on certain things. There's certain things that I will go to bat and go, oh, come on, you guys. There's some a little bit of bull crap in that, and that's what makes it a good spirited debate for anybody that's watching. Is knowing that there's certain things that I definitely believe in, and there's certain things I take with a grain of salt and a shot of tequila and maybe a little bit of lime, but
and can't friends still at the end of the day be friends and disagree? Why are we supposed to cast somebody off to an island of despair when we're already on one to begin with?
I don't know. It's just like if you worked for the Denver Nuggets and you never watched the games.
Yeah,
I worked for Major League Baseball and hated baseball. I don't enjoy. I think it's watching five men fish, but it was a paycheck.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I mean, it's great. I always like everybody's viewpoints on things. I think what's interesting for me is, I'm
just shocked. I'm sorry. I'm going to go in the shock corner.
There's just so many things to me. I mean, even if you're buying into this, there's just so many things that just don't add up. I mean, if we've got a pandemic, there should be a massive amount of people that are dying above and beyond what we usually see. And those numbers are just the same. We do know that the flu has gone down literally 98% since this pandemic started. And why is that? Because obviously what they're doing is they're just renaming the flu COVID. And the flu can be deadly. About 200,000 people die from the regular flu every year. So when people just die of something that they say is COVID, to me, it's just like, you know what? You had the flu. This happens to a lot of people. I've had 7 people that die in the last year and a half. Not one of them were from COVID. I've had people die from cancer, from black mold, from liver, fatty liver, from a lot of different things. And the fact is, in this life, people will die. And I think, in my opinion, the media is just taking advantage of this, and they're calling deaths COVID. And people are freaked out about it because they say, I know somebody died of COVID. I know people that die. And I'm sure had these people not been sick before this thing started, they would have loved to have claimed that it was COVID, but they couldn't because these people were sick before that. So that's just my opinion.
And I value it. And I think that's what makes this show very interesting is we'll have listeners at some point that will be texting in or popping off questions or getting angry. And I do believe at the end of the day, I love you guys a lot. Jackie, or Deluxe, we're just getting to know you. Hopefully you will come to love me as well, to a degree.
Your microphone is off. Turn your microphone back on because you turned your camera off. I thought you just took your toys and left.
Yeah.
No, sorry. If I ever get to see your face, I suppose I'll do
Mine?
Yes.
Oh, I'll do it when we're not recording, because that's the other.
I don't get it. You have a different opinion. You should be on there supporting your opinion, by gosh.
Well, my other opinion.
Corporate's not going to allow that.
What's that?
I'll defend you. Corporate's not going to allow that. Period. End of discussion.
Right.
Backlash in the room. We're lucky to have that.
And the other is with all the things that have happened to us over the years, I like to be the faceless, nameless person on the other side. So I don't have somebody knocking on the door and, doing anything to my family.
Oh, like throwing tomatoes or something?
Or disappearing or anything like that.
Oh, my heavenly days.
I mean, we've already talked about things happening with Joe over the years with his voice. And
well, I will say what I think. I hear what you're saying, Backlash. I think what happens for the most part, and I've had people say the same thing too. Aren't you worried about talking about this? Aren't you worried about your website? Aren't you worried about being on the History Channel, whatever?
I'm worried about not talking about it.
Well, what I found through all my contacts and talking about this is the people that are doing this aren't really concerned with the reporters. They'll just discredit you. They'll just call you crazy, whatever. They're not really concerned about that. The people that they will seek revenge from, the people that they will murder, are people that were one of them at one time, that were on the inside and have a lot of inside information. Those people that come out and start speaking, the people we call whistleblowers, those are the people that are in danger. Those people that talk to us, they don't care about us. They care about them. Those are the people that they go after. Generally, they won't go after just a reporter that's reporting, what's been told to them.
Yeah,
So that's
Joe's
just
right.
what
A
I found.
sacrificial. So that's Joe's right. This week in the news and the headlines, the sacrificial lamb, Jussie Smollett, is going to be thrown to the wolves, and that'll be a very public trial, while the Ghislaine Maxwell trial in New York goes unnoticed, and the secrets will most likely, whether she commits suicide or not, on conviction, be buried with her, and the story ends there.
Yeah, if they were really worried about that, if they were really worried about her, they would have killed her before she was in this position. So they're not worried about her. They could have snuffed her out long ago.
No, it's more convenient now to use her as the convenient scapegoat, dump everything on her, bury it, and have it go away. But the noose in Chicago at 3 a.m. in the Windy City when it's 20 below, that's the story when it's not.
Yeah,
and
right.
If you go along to get along, and you'll get an award, and we're in sweeps right now. And boy, those Christmas bonuses, nobody wants to get, we call it hostile termination season for a reason. Sorry, Jackie, happy 3rd anniversary for the parade. And yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That all came out sideways. I'm sorry. Jackie Selby 3 years ago today was the Denver Parade of Lights, and Jackie was the host.
That's right. I remember that.
I did more than host. But anyway.
You were the light of the show. Are you kidding?
Loss happened there, but I'm glad I'm not out there this time. Somebody else's turn.
And that whole world of broadcasting, those who could or might, you're making too much anyway. The bean counters are making sure that the young, diverse, with the right accreditations from the right schools are now coming into broadcasting. And they're being propped up as the new face of, we're on it and we're trusted and you can count on us, and go stroke yourselves, guys. It's getting scary.
I know.
Look at Governor Cuomo. Governor Cuomo now, it's easy to shoot him down in a sex scandal instead of talking about how many thousands of elderly did he send to die in the nursing homes during COVID. We can sell a sex scandal, but we can't sell that. Meanwhile, the now lieutenant governor, the now first female governor of New York, she's like another Kamala Harris. She's only going to continue to fail upwards to another position. And yet now the discovery, it wasn't a discovery. The minute Chris Cuomo came out on the air and said, I'm not going to talk about my brother in the investigation, well, you were caught. But now again, with the use of the device, and we got a subpoena, we got your emails. You guys were conspiring in the world of Me Too and Believe Her, and you were setting up an attack campaign and using CNN to help the mayor or the governor. And yet, just a year and a half ago, the same media were in love with Cuomo. They were talking about replacing Biden with him, if you remember. Governor Cuomo was considered to be, we'll just have Cuomo run against Trump because everyone loves Chris Cuomo. The media was all in the bag. And the minute he's no longer useful, we send you down the river in a sex scandal because it allows everyone else who's part of the corruption to stay in the circle.
Well, here's what the deal is about those people that we see on TV, the people that are up at the top of the pyramid, not up at the very top, but close up, the people that are influencers. The whole system runs on blackmail. All these people have skeletons in their closet. That's how they keep them in line. That's how they make sure you guys either do what we say or we're going to reveal this about you. Bill Cosby is a good example. He's been doing this stuff since the 1960s, and everybody knew about it.
Everybody knew about it.
But he did something behind the scenes. He made somebody mad. He pissed somebody off, and they exposed him. That's how this thing works. That's why people get exposed so often, because they're all corrupted. They've all got skeletons in the closet. You have to have skeletons in your closet to be even elected or to get in those positions, because that's how they control it. They can bring you down anytime they want to, and those people know it.
In all fairness, it was a stand-up comic who just did a joke. The audience groaned, and he went, "What? Am I the only one who does?" The video went viral, and they circled the wagons, and the cause went down. But now the Supreme Court may be taking up that case as well, because these are the issues at hand in government. You know, Cosby going to the Supreme Court. It's become a circus. I don't want to say the S show, but it's certainly become a circus show to keep everybody back to Mcluhan at the lowest level. Jackie, what was it? It's the lowest level of consciousness.
Yeah, in your brain. Yeah, it's all about vibrations and everything down to the number of it's not pixels, but it's the number of whatever they're called. Like it's a
flash rate.
Yeah, in film you don't have that. So film is not as detrimentally. But now we know the imagery has changed. This was in the 1950s and 60s. He was saying that. You know, that's before it was too much infected. But anyway, yeah, it's all and the blue lights that we watch on our phones and everything. That's really bad for your brain. All that stuff.
Right.
And look at just the family who sits there and they just sit back in the chair, and the next thing you know, they're staring and their mouth is open.
I know.
You slipped into a form of conscious hypnosis. You're allowing it to take place.
And I know that's if they're not working or engaging in something with you or at a live, sporting event or whatever, they're in front of the TV set.
Yeah. Right.
And in public, they can't put it. They'll check it. I've watched it. I'll sit on a detail for 12 hours. I got nothing to do but watch human behavior. They'll check their phone. They turn it off. They put it in their pocket. They'll stand there for 20, maybe 30 seconds tops. And they pull it out and they check it again. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Gorbachev. Are you expecting an email from NORAD? Who are you that you're that important? You have to check every 30. No, it's you're looking for your dopamine hit.
Yeah.
You're a joke. Let's break this down. That's what it is. Yeah. Those who've built this platform know exactly. You're wanting to get your dopamine hit.
Yeah, that's right.
Are we still?
We got to be getting up to the.
Yeah, we're actually cutting right down to about 2 minutes, guys. Actually, 1 minute.
Okay.
I agree with you on the blue light and being hypnotized by all of that. That's for damn sure. That's why Scooter, you don't see me on Facebook like I used to be. I used to be a fanatic, and just I had to turn it off because of all of the other BS that's going on out there.
Right.
Looking at it, I'll post for fun stuff, but that's about it anymore. But I got to tell you guys, it was a great episode, and it's going to be probably our longest continual. It probably will take me a little bit of time, and I will get this posted or sent over to you, to all three of you.
Okay.
Hopefully, Scooter, you'll be able to get it this time.
Yep.
Thank you all for, again, a great event with the Conspiracy Keepers today.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We'll do it again soon.
Hail Boreas.
Go Omni.
Yeah.